Welcome to Storytime with Mansoor. Tonight's story follows Trump's kindness in Central Park saves a boy and his mother, exposing a criminal conspiracy. Where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. Trump stops to talk to Black boy in a park. His unexpected words leave everyone speechless. On a crisp autumn afternoon in 2020, Central Park's usual hum of life froze as Donald Trump, surrounded by a swarm of Secret Service agents, suddenly broke formation. The 74-year-old former president, known for his polarizing demeanor, knelt in the middle of the park to talk to an 11-year-old black boy sitting alone on a bench clutching a red notebook. What he said next didn't just silence the agents, it sent shockwaves through everyone who witnessed it. Tyler Brooks had always loved Central Park. It was his escape, a safe haven where he could sketch in peace while his mom worked double shifts at the hospital. But today, something felt different. The notebook in his hands wasn't just filled with drawings, it held secrets he never wanted anyone to know. Trump's unexpected stop hadn't been random. He was jogging through the park when something about Tyler, his downcast eyes, his trembling hands, caught his attention. Ignoring the protests of his detail, Trump approached the boy. "What's in the notebook?" Trump asked softly, his voice uncharacteristically gentle. Tyler's eyes widened. "Nothing," he whispered, hugging it tighter to his chest. But Trump wasn't convinced. "You don't look like you're writing about baseball or cartoons. What's wrong, son?" The boy's hesitation was palpable. Slowly, he opened the notebook to reveal page after page of chilling illustrations. A man's silhouette standing over a lifeless body, eyes watching from the darkness, and at the center of it all, a recurring phrase scrawled in bold, angry letters: "He's coming for me." Across the park, Detective Sarah Jenkins sat sipping coffee in her unmarked car. She wasn't supposed to be there. Her case files were piling up back at the precinct. But something about Tyler's regular visits to the park had caught her eye over the past few weeks. A seasoned investigator in her 40s, she had a knack for sensing when something wasn't right. And Tyler Brooks, with his too small jacket and haunted eyes, was a puzzle she couldn't ignore. When she saw Trump kneeling next to the boy, she knew she had to act. "Stay here," she barked at her rookie partner darting out of the car. As she approached, she overheard Trump saying, "Whatever's in here, it's not safe to keep it to yourself. You have to tell someone you trust." Tyler shook his head violently. "I can't. He said he'd hurt my mom if I told anyone." Trump's jaw tightened. "Who's he?" Before the boy could answer, a sharp crack echoed through the park. A gunshot. Panic erupted as joggers and families scrambled for cover. Trump's agents instantly shielded him, but his gaze never left Tyler, who had gone pale. "He's here," Tyler murmured, clutching Trump's arm. Detective Jenkins drew her weapon, scanning the area. "Mr. President, we need to move you out of here now," she shouted. But Trump shook his head. "Not without him," he said, pulling Tyler closer. Tyler's notebook fell to the ground, flipping open to a page that made Jenkins freeze. It was a detailed sketch of the exact scene unfolding before them. A crowd scattering, a figure lurking in the shadows, and a man with orange hair kneeling next to a boy. "How did you draw this?" Jenkins demanded, her voice trembling. Tyler looked up, tears streaming down his face. "Because he told me it would happen." And just as he finished speaking, the shadowy figure from his drawing stepped into view. Detective Jenkins held her breath as the figure emerged from the shadows. A tall man in a worn leather jacket, his face partially obscured by a hood, walked with deliberate steps toward them. Tyler froze, clutching Trump's sleeve so tightly that his knuckles turned white. "That's him," the boy whispered, his voice breaking. Trump's usual bravado faltered for a moment. He glanced at Jenkins, who had her gun trained on the approaching man. "Stay behind me," she said sharply, but Trump didn't move. Instead, he crouched closer to Tyler, shielding him with his own body. "Who are you?" Jenkins barked at the man, her tone firm but trembling. The man stopped a few feet away, lifting his hands slowly. "You won't understand," he said, his voice deep and rough. His eyes flicked toward Tyler. "But he does. Don't you, kid?" Tyler whimpered, burying his face in Trump's coat. "Don't come any closer," Jenkins warned, stepping forward. The man ignored her, his gaze locked on Tyler. "You didn't keep quiet, did you? You think someone here can save you?" The man said, his tone sharp but eerily calm. "Do you know what happens now?" Before anyone could respond, Tyler's sobs grew louder. "Please don't hurt my mom," he cried, his words muffled against Trump's shoulder. Trump's expression hardened. He stood abruptly, his towering presence almost defiant. "Who do you think you are, threatening a child's mother?" he demanded. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." The man smirked, lowering his hood to reveal a scar running from his temple to his jawline. "Neither do you." Jenkins didn't wait. She lunged, shoving Trump and Tyler behind her as the man reached into his jacket. A split second later, a knife glinted in the fading sunlight. Jenkins fired a warning shot into the ground, the crack echoing through the park. "Drop it!" she shouted, her voice trembling with adrenaline. But instead of fear, the man laughed. "You're all out of your depth," he said, dropping the knife and pulling a folded piece of paper from his pocket instead. He threw it at Tyler's feet. "Open it," he instructed, his tone menacing. Tyler hesitated, but Trump knelt down, picked up the paper and unfolded it. His face paled as he read the words scrawled in red ink. "I'll come for her tonight. There's nothing you can do." Jenkins' radio crackled. Backup was minutes away, but minutes felt like hours. "We've got this under control," she lied, her eyes darting between the man and Tyler. The man stepped back, his hands still raised. "It's already too late," he said, turning and disappearing into the trees before Jenkins could stop him. The park fell silent again, save for Tyler's soft sobs. Trump placed a steady hand on the boy's shoulder. "We're going to protect your mom," he said firmly, his voice uncharacteristically tender. Tyler looked up at him, his tear-streaked face filled with both fear and a flicker of hope. "You promise?" Trump nodded. "I promise." But as Jenkins stared at the note, unease settled deep in her chest. The handwriting matched the letters from an unsolved case she had been working on for months, one that had left 2 families shattered and the department chasing shadows. "Mr. President," Jenkins said, her voice low, "this isn't just about Tyler. It's bigger than we think." Trump's expression darkened. "Then we don't wait for them to make the next move. We take the fight with them." Detective Jenkins couldn't shake the unease settling over her. Every instinct told her this wasn't just another threat. It was personal, deliberate. She studied Tyler, whose small hands trembled as he clung to Trump like a lifeline. Trump knelt again, meeting the boy's eyes. "What aren't you telling us, Tyler? We can't help if we don't know the whole truth." Tyler hesitated, his lips quivering. "I didn't mean to. I just wanted to help her," he whispered. "I saw him hurting my mom and I tried to stop him." Jenkins's heart sank. "Who's him, Tyler? Is it the man from the park?" The boy nodded slowly, tears spilling down his cheeks. "I hit him with a lamp and we ran. But he said if I told anyone, he'd make us pay." Trump's jaw clenched, his protective instincts in overdrive. "No one's going to hurt you or your mom again. Do you hear me?" But Jenkins wasn't so sure. The note, the calculated threats, the man's confidence, this wasn't a random act. "We need to find your mom now," she said, already dialing her team. "Where is she, Tyler?" "At work," he choked out. "At the hospital, but he knows where we live. He said he'd go there." By the time they reached the hospital, Jenkins' backup had arrived. Officers secured the perimeter, and the chief of staff escorted them to Tyler's mother, who was in the middle of her shift in the ER. "Mrs. Brooks?" Jenkins called out, startling a tired-looking nurse. She turned, her face pale as she spotted her son. "Tyler, what's going on?" Tyler bolted into her arms, sobbing. "I'm sorry, Mom. I told them everything. I couldn't keep it a secret anymore." Her confusion turned to fear as Jenkins explained the situation. "We believe the man who threatened you is planning to act tonight. We need to get you somewhere safe immediately." Mrs. Brooks's hands shook as she hugged her son tightly. "He said he'd never stop," she whispered, her voice breaking. "We've been running for months. I thought we were safe here." Trump, standing nearby, spoke firmly. "You're safe now. We'll make sure of it." As night fell, the Brooks family was relocated to a safe house under heavy surveillance. But Jenkins couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. She stayed awake, poring over case files, while Tyler slept beside his mother for the first time in weeks. Then, just after midnight, the power cut out. Jenkins bolted to her feet, gun drawn, as shadows flickered outside the window. Trump, refusing to leave despite the risks, was in the next room with a team of agents. The tension was palpable. The sound of breaking glass shattered the silence. Jenkins rushed toward the noise, her flashlight slicing through the darkness. A figure darted across the yard, and she gave chase, her pulse racing. "Stop!" she shouted, but the man didn't slow. As she closed the distance, the man turned abruptly, swinging a crowbar. Jenkins ducked just in time, firing a warning shot into the ground. The man froze, his hands raised. "It's over," she said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her. But the man smirked. "You don't understand," he said, his voice low. "There's more of us." Back at the safe house, Tyler woke with a start. "Mom?" he whispered, clutching her hand. "It's okay, baby," she said, stroking his hair, but her eyes darted toward the door where shadows seemed to move. Suddenly, Trump burst into the room. "We're getting you out of here," he said. "Now." The agents escorted them to a waiting car, but Tyler clung to Trump. "Don't leave us," he pleaded. "I'm not going anywhere," Trump promised. By dawn, the man Jenkins had captured was in custody, and the Brooks family was relocated to a secure location far away from the city. For the first time in months, Tyler and his mother felt a glimmer of hope. Trump, despite his polarizing reputation, made a quiet visit to check on them weeks later. He brought Tyler a new sketch pad, saying, "Keep drawing, kid. But this time, draw something happy." Tyler smiled for the first time in months, hugging the notebook tightly. Months later, a breaking news report revealed the capture of a criminal ring targeting vulnerable families. It all started with Tyler's bravery and the unexpected intervention of a former president who refused to walk away from a scared little boy in a park.